made my pencil cup, man. I'm excited. Hi, I'm Michael. This is Maker's Workshop. In honor of back to school, we're gonna make a pencil cup today. To make this project, you will need some scrap wood. That is scrap wood. A drill and 2 hole saws. A 4.5-inch hole saw, and a 3 5/8-inch hole saw. We got this. More important than the exact dimensions is that they're about an inch difference in size. So that could be 2.5 and 3.5, 3.5 and 4.5, 4.5 and 5.5, and etc. Once I had the biggest of the hole saws locked into place on my drill, I set up 2 pieces of scrap wood to drill on top of and clamp my first piece on top so it was secure. I did this so that I wouldn't drill through my table. From there, I drilled a wide range of circles in the same size from pieces in my scrap bin. I wanted a mix of wood types and thicknesses. The key to getting good results with the hole saw is to apply only moderate pressure and to keep a steady hand. The hole saw can heat up quite a bit on thicker pieces, so just be ready for that. And the slower you go, the less heat and the less scorching. Once I had a good mix of pieces, I played around with different arrangements until I had one I liked. I'll take a second to mention here that all of these have a hole smack in the middle of them that should theoretically line up perfectly with one another when they're stacked. Alright, so that's looking like a good height, so we're going to go ahead and glue them together in this orientation. To prep for the glue up, I laid my pieces out in the order I wanted them. I painted the top of the bottom piece with a liberal coat of wood glue. Then, using the drill bit as a guide to line it up perfectly, I stacked the next piece on top. I repeated this process until I had my whole stack assembled. I'm using type 3 because that's the only kind that I had with me that night, but you could really get away with any type of wood glue here. Now just push the drill bit all the way in because that will keep it aligned while I pick it up, and that will let me get a clamp on it better without needing to worry about if it slides. And now that it is clamped down, I'm just going to make sure that I take that drill bit out so it doesn't glue itself in place, because that would be a bit of a bummer. And then you just want to clean that off real well so that you can use it again later without worrying about it. It has set up overnight, and now we're going to unclamp it and see what we got.
Still?
Yep, still lined up. Using 2 parallel bar clamps and plywood, I clamped the piece to my table. I also added a piece of plywood as a bumper to create resistance when I drill in with the smaller hole saw. This would probably be easier on a drill press because you can get an exact up and down, but we're just going to try to keep this as level as possible as we're going through. I also want to show a method that doesn't necessarily require big, expensive tools. On the first side, I went in as far as I could until I bottomed out the hole saw. Before flipping my piece. Now, in theory, as long as we line up with that hole again, it will meet perfectly and we'll have a nice workable core. The core popped out really nicely. It definitely needed a sand, but all in all, I was happy with it. And this is actually big enough that I think maybe we should go grab a 2.5 inch bit and make a set of 2.
A commemorative set, some might say.
Why is it commemorative?
Because it commemorates all of the things we have made in 2020.
Does it?
Well, some of them.
2 of them.
There's only 2 projects worth of stuff in here?
Coffee table and ore.
Lantern.
No, that was actually a piece of new Purple Heart.
It's not scrap wood.
Well, it was small. So it's kind of like scrap. Your lens is super dirty.
There's a lot of stuff flying when we were just drilling that out.
To sand these up, I opted for my spindle sander. I'm sanding only the interior of each shell at this point. I started on an 80 grit to remove the bulk of the excess and then smooth things off with a 220 grit. Using the classic wood glue and CA glue combination, I glued a disc to the base of each shell. The wood glue dries slowly for a strong bond, and the CA glue dries immediately when it comes into contact with activator and serves as a clamp. I switched out the attachment on my spindle sander and sanded down the outer edge. The key here was taking my time. I also made note to switch between sanding vertically and horizontally. I was also sure to keep spinning the piece around so that it sanded the entire thing evenly so that I wouldn't have thin spots on the edge. Once again, I smoothed things out with a 220 grit at the very end. To remove any excess dust from sanding, I wiped both cups down with paint thinner and let it dry completely. I finished these with 3 coats of Satin wipe-on poly. I just wanted something durable, but that wouldn't be too much fuss to apply. I have to say, the finished product was pretty sleek looking. This was also a really effective method to make a vessel without requiring a lathe. My pencils are going to be living in style from this point forward. Don't forget to click subscribe on your way out, and I will see you next time.